Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have one just dropped from News Nation with Ross Coulthart. Ross Coulthart is interviewing a gentleman by the name of Mark. I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm not even going to try. But they're talking about Roswell. Apparently, he had interviewed one of a key witness back in the day and stuff like that. So, why don't you guys check it out? I hope you enjoy. Like, subscribe, share with your friends.
Hadn't been properly investigated and interviewed. And those witnesses were very convincing, weren't they? Can you talk to that?
I could talk to that with witness interviews I did myself. I interviewed two or three of the key personnel, and the one I interviewed one-on-one is Bill Rickett. Bill Rickett worked with Sheridan Cabot. He was the second in command. And they were counterintelligence. Jesse Marcel, the famous Jesse Marcel, was an intelligence officer, but Cabot and Rickett were counterintelligence. And Rickett, this was July 4th weekend when things were happening. And so Rickett was off. Cabot was not. And Rickett, by the way, I interviewed him at his nice mobile home in near Tampa in Florida with his wife there, which was helpful because she confirmed things that he was saying that he told her back in 1947. So I said, Bill, just tell me what happened that day. Well, he said, well, I came into the office on Monday after my vacation, and Cabot called me aside immediately and said, Bill, I need to show you something. And we requisitioned a Jeep and drove out north of town. And an hour roughly. He couldn't remember exactly, and I'm not surprised. But they drove to the middle of nowhere, which is where the crash site, definitely in the middle of nowhere. And they got out. And what he first noticed is that there were lots of MPs in the area, including the head of the MPs, Major Easley. And so they walked up to him and they saw these MPs walking around and like bending down and, picking up stuff. And so they talked a little bit and about, something had happened here. And, they'd found debris, no mention of bodies, by the way. And it was unusual. And Cabot said to Bill, I want you to see this, because this is something that we're involved with. And there was a piece of this small piece of shiny metal on the ground that they'd collected. And they said, yeah, this stuff is really strange. It's really, you can't do anything with it. It's really tough and all that. And so Bill said, oh, okay, can I pick it up? They said, yeah, you can handle it. So he picked it up, light as a feather, seemed very strong. And so he said to them, hey, can I try to bend it or break it? And they said, oh, sure, go ahead, try. So he stuck it on a rock, hammered it with his boot and his foot, hit it with another rock, nothing. This isn't the stuff that would crumple up and come back. This is the stuff that was super, super tough. So finally, yeah, go ahead.
No, keep on going, sorry.
Okay, yeah, I'm almost done. So they did that. Bill went out and talked to a couple of the MPs and they said, yeah, this is crazy out here. It was very hot too that day. So they got back to the Jeep and it becomes like a spy movie, except I believe his testimony. He said before Cabot turned on the engine, he turned to him and said, Bill, you've seen this. Yep. Now remember, we didn't leave the base today. We were in the office the whole day, right? Yeah, we were in the office the whole day, yeah. That's the testimony from somebody who I implicitly trust.
Okay, so you believe Rickett's account. Do you believe that the objects that Rickett was shown are consistent with the US Air Force explanation?
No, of course not. Mogul balloons or anything else don't have that incredibly tough metal that as he described.
So the Mogul balloon explanation, which was the going explanation back then, was that this was some kind of surveillance balloon, high altitude surveillance balloon that was being used to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. And it was a way of secretly surveilling Russian nuclear weapons testing. You find it implausible that the objects that Rickett described were in fact anything to do with that kind of
device. And the same with all the other witnesses. Kevin Randall and Brad Sparks have looked extensively at the records for Mogul and compared it to the testimony. there is no way that a mogul balloon could explain this event, just from the flight trajectory and the flight records.
Sure. It was interesting because, I mean, I spent a lot of time reading your response to the Roswell case when they published the 1997 Air Force report that was somewhat optimistically described case closed. It wasn't case closed at all, was it? I mean, basically,
No.
it was a joke. I mean, do you agree with me that it was a joke?
Completely. And in fact, it has, if I may be immodest, it has the best title. I didn't send you this article, Ross, but it has the best title of our IUR article, our public periodical, that we ever had. We put a photo of 2 Air Force men with a crash dummy holding between them, and the headline is, "Who's the dummy now?"
Love it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the people that you actually talked about in that report was Glenn Dennis, who was the mortician in Roswell. And he claimed that he'd been asked to provide small coffins for what he believed were alien bodies. And essentially, there was a claim that bodies from the accident were taken to the funeral home where he worked. Do you believe that account? Do you believe Dennis's
No,
account?
Glenn Dennis's testimony has been discredited.
Yeah,
As has Frank Kaufman. I was involved in discrediting that.
Yeah.
And the body stories have nowhere near as much evidence and substance as the unusual debris story, which is rock solid.
Yeah. So basically, where you're strong is on the idea that there was extraordinary debris that was gathered and there was a cover-up. The US Air Force was involved in some kind of a cover-up about it.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is, it is so critical that Roswell, we think, happened and really had this unusual debris, because we talked today about disclosure, but in particular, we talked today about a long-term cover-up. If Roswell was something like this, the military would have had to have put in action a plan to study that material. And of course, at the same time, clearly covered it up, because they didn't talk about it. They put out a cover story initially about a weather balloon, then onto the mogul balloon and so forth. Well, that means the cover-up began at least that far back.
But your point is that, okay, you've got a witness who's describing anomalous metal on the location, metal that seemed to defy the normal capacity to bend and to deform. That doesn't mean that you've got proof that an alien spacecraft was recovered at Roswell, does it?
No, it doesn't. And in fact, I think they did not know that. I'm going to, my best conjecture is no bodies, just incredibly strange debris that is not pieced together like a craft. And so so I'm the military, both their scientists and the generals and so forth, and I'm thinking, this is incredible, but we don't really know what we have. So we can't tell anybody what we have, of course. And again, particularly because, there we go again, the Soviets might find out about it, right? And then, so number 2, though, we have to start a very secretive program to see what we can learn about what happened there. Possibly number 3, start looking for other evidence anywhere else in these sightings.
Do you think we'll ever know the answer to the Roswell mystery?
I would say there's more than a 0% chance, but I think it's low. Records may have been destroyed. If this program was potentially a secret, as I think it might have been. So I'm not going to say there's no chance, but I think it's actually pretty low.
What's your favorite case? I mean, in the 50 plus years you've been investigating the whole phenomenon.
All right, guys, that's it for that one there. This is just a snippet, you guys. I do recommend you guys go watch the whole thing. I will have it all linked in the description down below. But they talk about all kinds of stuff. It's a really, really good interview. I really enjoyed it. I think you guys should watch it. And let me know what you guys think down below. Let's talk about this Roswell incident. We all know about it, right? But let's talk about what he says about that metal that couldn't be bent, couldn't be dented, couldn't damage it whatsoever. Anyways, you guys, like, subscribe, share with your friends. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.